For this next set of videos that we're going to look at, we're going to use a different Excel file. So go to the Blackboard course under Materials Pre-Work and download Personal Budget. So I'm going to download that, and then I'm going to open it up. And it opened on the other screen. Bring it over here. All right. So I'm going to enable editing, and you'll notice here just one worksheet within this workbook, personal budget. There's some formatting stuff that I put in here just to try to make it look halfway decent. This is quite different than what we will often see in a lot of data sets that we might explore later on, in the sense that we have a lot more columns than we have rows. When we get to later in the course, we will have the data in tall and thin, lots of rows, not as many columns. In this case, you might have a budget that you put in Excel yourself that might look something like this, where we have each month, right, going across this way. Here we have last year's budget, right, percent to total. We're going to calculate some of this stuff. This is last year per month. TY is this year, average per month. Rent, car, insurance, phone, internet, utilities, groceries, gas, right? All this stuff that we might think of, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, because we have lots of different columns, I'm going to go ahead and I'd like to be able to scroll to the right and still be able to see this stuff over here, as well as if I happen to go down, I keep stuff at the top. So to do that, we can freeze panes. So I'm going to go to G4, click on G4, and then under View, we can do freeze panes. And right now, you can either freeze the top row or the first column. I'm going to, if you just do freeze panes right here, it freezes the rows above and to the left of where we have selected. So when I do that, now if you notice, as I scroll across, I keep the rent. If I go down, I keep these lines up here, right? So that would be useful if I added other categories and stuff like that. So that's just going to make our life a little bit easier to be able to see stuff here, right? All right. So now let's do this in G17. Let's do. All right. We want to compare our budget to what we actually spent over this year. Notice we had the first 6 months of this, so we're assuming we're sometime in July or something right now, right? All right, so the net income is what we'd like to, what we're bringing in each month after taxes and all that fun stuff. So let's say $2,500, right? That is our budget, right? And because what we're bringing in is the same for actual versus budget, right? We can just reference that cell. So to do that, we hit equal, and then we can use our arrow key to go over and reference G17, right? So now what that does, instead of having this hard coded in H17, that is, if I change G17 to something else, let's say 1200, right, it automatically changes H17. So many times we want to avoid hard coding a number, right? But in this case, we have the budget and the actual pointing to that budget. So the budget is hard coded. This is a reference to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and if I watch as I go over to J17, and if I paste, Control V, you will notice that this guy is hard-coded at 2,500, but this guy is pointing to J17. So it moved, so we have a relative reference there. So it moved from the G to the J, right, for what we're pointing to. Now we can also copy this all the way across. There are different ways people like to do this. I'm going to go back to my home tab. I'm going to put my mouse over top of the paste, and I'm going to use my arrow key to get to M17, and then use my mouse just to click the button. I'll leave my mouse pointed over top of that, come over to April, click, May, click, mouse over, or arrow over, click, right? So we'll do this for all the months. So the nice thing about having it set up this way with the relative reference to the actual to the budget is that, suppose back over here, we in May we got a raise, so we're now making $3,000, right? So maybe we got some extra bonus that month or something, right? So that would be a nice way to keep it that way. But we're going to keep everything at 2,500 right now, and we'll go from there.